A man named Riken, wearing only one shoe, tries to escape from a strange cube-shaped room. He manages to unlock a door to another chamber but is shocked to find that it's just another cube room, identical to the first. Disappointed and scared, he shuts the door. Suddenly, a spray of liquid bursts from one of the cube's walls and hits him. Riken assumes it's just water, but when he rubs the back of his hand, he realizes in horror that his skin is dissolving. His entire body begins to disintegrate. In an observation room, Eric Wynn watches the scene unfold on a monitor beside his co-worker Dodd. The screen flashes a message, "Subject terminated." Eric looks through Riken's consent forms and other documents, but Dodd warns him not to. He tells Eric that reading those files is against the rules. Eric closes the file and looks silently at Dodd. Later, Eric sketches a drawing of Dodd as a superhero and labels it Chessman. The two of them sit across from each other playing chess. Eric doesn't seem focused on the game. While moving a piece, he asks Dodd when Chickless will return. Dodd replies that Chickless will probably come back next week. After a few more moves, Eric asks about another missing colleague named Owen. Dodd tells him that Owen is probably sick and quickly changes the topic. Sometime later, Eric mentions that he heard noises coming from Owen's room. Dodd dismisses it, saying Eric must have dreamed it since he often complains about nightmares. Dodd tells him not to ask too many questions about the people assigned to the cubes. At lunchtime, Eric and Dodd take 2 capsules as their meal. Soon after, they receive new instructions from their superiors. They are ordered to record the dream of a test subject named Cassandra Rains. They follow the command, locate her, and begin monitoring her dream. In Cassandra's dream, Eric sees her crying out for her daughter, Anna, while being held captive. Cassandra tries to escape and sees a doll on a bed. Then, the scene changes. She's happily playing with Anna in a forest. But the happiness fades quickly as masked soldiers capture both of them. Cassandra manages to pull off one soldier's mask and sees a cube-shaped symbol tattooed on his forehead. When the dream recording ends, Dodd prepares to leave, but Eric stops him. He asks when Dodd last went outside. Both of them realize they don't remember ever leaving the facility. Dodd gets annoyed and warns Eric to stop asking questions. He adds that Chickless's children are now orphans, ending the conversation. Eric turns back to the monitor, watching Cassandra Rains as she wakes up in a cube room. She finds herself wearing a strange uniform with a tattoo on the back of her hand. She tries to rub it off, but it won't disappear. Confused and frightened, Cassandra calls out for her daughter, Anna. She demands to know what's been done to her, why she can't remember anything, not even her daughter's name. Cassandra opens a hatch-like window and sees another cube beyond it. Through it, she spots other occupants. She climbs through the opening into their cube, but is immediately pushed down by a man named Robert P. Haskell. Cassandra notices that Haskell has a tattoo on his forehead, the same cube symbol she saw on her captor in her dream. She becomes convinced that he's one of the soldiers who kidnapped her. Another occupant intervenes, telling Cassandra that everyone here is just like her. None of them remember how they got here, so she shouldn't accuse Haskell. Cassandra, still desperate, asks if anyone has seen a little girl. They all shake their heads. Heartbroken, she runs off to search for Anna. Haskell warns her to be careful because the cubes are filled with traps. Cassandra reluctantly stops and climbs down safely. Haskell asks if she remembers anything about her past. Cassandra tells him that she only recalls being captured in the woods with her daughter and seeing the strange tattoo. Another man named Bartok says that he wouldn't even know his name if it wasn't stitched on his shirt. Haskell tells the group that they should keep moving while they still have strength. Cassandra asks if there's any kind of plan. Haskell explains that they keep moving in one direction, hoping to eventually reach the edge, because somewhere, the cube must end. The group has developed a system to check which rooms are safe. Bartok tests each cube by throwing one of his shoes inside first. If nothing happens, it's safe to enter. He tosses his shoe into the next cube, waits, and declares it clear. But as soon as Bartok steps inside, the door slams shut, the walls close in, and thin wires slice his body into pieces. Cassandra screams as she watches Bartok's death in horror. Back in the observation room, Eric sketches a portrait of Cassandra Rains. He asks Dodd if she looks familiar. Eric insists he's sure he's seen her before but can't remember where. Dodd reminds him of the rule he taught when Eric first joined: never get emotionally involved with the subjects. Eric offers Dodd a deal. If Dodd answers one of his questions, he'll tell Dodd 3 ways to win any chess game. Dodd agrees. Eric asks him about something called the third exit. Dodd explains that the third exit is an auxiliary door that leads directly outside. Eric says that Owen once mentioned it, and Chiklis found more plans related to it. Dodd abruptly ends the discussion, warning Eric never to talk about it again. Meanwhile, inside the cube system, the remaining occupants grow terrified and try to find another way to detect traps. They discuss what might trigger the motion sensors. Cassandra still doubts Haskell and insists he's part of the squad behind all this. Another occupant named Meyerhold discovers a clue, the letters CIA written on one of the walls. They check the other cube doors, each marked with different codes. Cassandra starts writing these codes on her shirt, trying to find a pattern or clue that might lead them to safety. Eric Wynn completes the sketch of Cassandra Rains, carefully shading her face. He tells Dodd that Cassandra is doing better than the other cube occupants because she's actually noticing the letters and trying to map the codes. Dodd laughs, saying that Cassandra won't get the chance to escape, and mocks Eric, joking that maybe he'll ride in on a white horse to rescue her. The comment gives Eric an idea. He asks Dodd if he ever feels guilty about what's happening to these people, but Dodd tells him to stop talking and focus on his job. Inside the cube, Robert Haskell notices that the numbers and codes they've been finding have commas in them. Cassandra studies them closely and says the commas might represent coordinates, like Y and Z. She concludes that if every room has a unique letter combination, it must mean the entire structure is one massive cube, made up of 26 rooms on each side. Back in the observation room, Eric secretly goes through Cassandra's files while hiding from Dodd. He discovers that, according to the records, every person placed in the cube had been facing a death sentence. Each was given a choice: either die or enter the cube with their memory erased. Only those who signed a consent form were allowed to participate. But when Eric checks Cassandra's file, he's shocked to find no consent form at all. He shows the file to Dodd and tells him Cassandra shouldn't even be in the cube without that form. Dodd tells him to drop it, saying the people running this operation wouldn't stop everything just because of a missing piece of paper. Eric doesn't agree. He pulls out a newspaper article showing that Cassandra Rains was a well-known political figure before her disappearance. Dodd says that means there probably was never a consent form. They put her there intentionally. Eric insists they have to report it. He tells Dodd to use the emergency phone to contact their superiors. Dodd refuses, saying it isn't an emergency. Eric argues that Cassandra might be innocent and could die in the cube. Dodd coldly replies that none of the subjects are innocent. Eric begins to realize how little they actually know. Everything they believe comes from the files they're given. He accuses Dodd of helping cover up a crime. Dodd snaps back, saying they're just the bottom men, following orders from above. Eric urges him again to make the call, but Dodd tells Eric to do it himself. Eric picks up the receiver and is about to dial when Dodd warns him that if Cassandra Rains, a public figure, could be captured so easily by the people upstairs, then they could just as easily make Eric disappear too. Before Eric can say anything more, the phone rings. He answers it, then silently hands it to Dodd, saying it's for him. Dodd hesitates, but takes the call. On the other end, their superior gives a new order. They are to carry out the exit procedure for a subject who has reached the cube's final room and is facing the last challenge. When the feed appears on the monitor, Eric realizes that the person at the exit is Owen, their missing colleague. During the exit procedure, Owen is asked if he believes in God. When he answers no, the system instantly incinerates him. Eric is horrified and argues with Dodd about Owen's execution. Dodd stays silent, but Eric has seen enough. He decides the cube is inhumane and that he must act. He will go inside and help Cassandra Rains escape. Soon after, Jax, one of the cube's senior supervisors, arrives at the control room with two analysts. They've come to stop Eric. Despite their efforts, Eric and Cassandra manage to reach the exit room with unexpected help from Dodd. Dodd secretly sabotages the control systems, allowing them to move freely through the cube, but pays the price when Jax discovers his betrayal and kills him. The sabotage causes the entire cube complex to enter reset mode, a system purge that vaporizes any living body still inside after a short time. Eric and Cassandra race against time, finally reaching the exit room. They use the secret auxiliary exit to escape just as the cube begins its purge. Outside, soldiers are already searching for them. Cassandra manages to get away, but Eric is hit by a tranquilizer dart and collapses. When Eric wakes up, he's lying on a hospital bed in a surgical room. Jax is there waiting for him. Jax tells Eric that Cassandra may have escaped, but Eric himself has been found guilty of high treason and sabotage against the country and God. He's already been tried and convicted. His sentence: 2 lifetimes of punishment. Jax explains that Eric will be implanted with a brain microchip to erase his intelligence and memories. Jax then shows Eric a document, his own consent form, proving that he had once agreed to be placed in the cube as an observer. Realizing the truth too late, Eric drifts into unconsciousness. He dreams of Cassandra reuniting with her daughter Anna in the forest, both of them smiling and free. Cassandra looks toward him and calls him a superhero. In the final scene, Eric is shown once again inside the cube, expression blank, sitting among other new subjects victims of the government's next test. A man named Alderson wakes up in a strange cubic room. He looks around and sees hatch doors in the center of every wall, on the floor, and on the ceiling. 6 doors in total, 1 on each side. Alderson opens each door one by one and finds that every connected room looks exactly the same, except that each one is a different color. After thinking for a while, he decides to move forward and enters an orange-colored room. As soon as he steps inside, a razor-sharp metal grate suddenly swings down from the ceiling and cuts him into pieces before quickly retracting back. In another cube, a man lies unconscious on the floor while another injured man named Quentin crawls in. Quentin tries to wake the unconscious man, but he doesn't respond. Quentin checks one of the hatch doors and sees another identical cube beyond it, then closes the hatch again. After a moment, the unconscious man wakes up. His name is Worth Quentin, and Worth are both nervous and confused, trying to understand what's going on when suddenly another hatch opens by itself. A woman named Holloway climbs through. Quentin panics and grabs her, thinking she might be one of the people who captured them. Holloway screams in fear until Quentin realizes his mistake, apologizes, and says he misjudged her. He assures her that he won't hurt her. Soon, they hear another woman's voice calling for help. Quentin opens another hatch and sees a woman named Levin, frightened and stuck in another cube. Quentin enters her room carefully, tells her not to move, and helps her crawl out safely. During this, Levin's glasses fall and break. Quentin tells her to calm down while he tries to understand what's happening. Holloway asks him why he seems afraid of that room. Before he can answer, another man named Wren appears and joins them. Levin, scared and shaking, hugs Quentin. Holloway then checks on Worth, who has been quiet, and notices he's bleeding from his head. She offers to treat him since she's a doctor. Meanwhile, Wren begins testing another room for traps. He ties a rope to one of his shoes and tosses it inside to check for danger. The shoe burns instantly, confirming his suspicion. He tells the others that there are motion detectors inside the walls. Quentin then asks if anyone remembers how they ended up in this strange place, but no one answers. After a pause, Holloway says she only remembers eating dinner before she woke up here. She suggests that maybe aliens built this place. Quentin and Wren, who have been testing the traps, tell the others that they'll have to work together to survive. Quentin says they should keep moving, use the information they have, and test each room with their boots to stay safe. Worth warns them that it might not be that simple, but everyone agrees they can't stay in one place for long. Wren mentions that there might be cameras watching their every move. Levin starts to panic, but Quentin calms her down and assures her that people outside are probably watching and waiting for them. He also reveals that he's a cop, which helps Levin feel slightly safer. Wren tests another room, which seems safe, and the group follows him. As they move through the cubes, Levin notices that each hatchway has a set of numbers inscribed on it, like some kind of code. Quentin, Worth, and Holloway also notice this. Levin explains that the numbers are different in every room. Holloway tells everyone that they need to keep moving, since it's been 3 days without food or water and they'll soon be too weak to continue. Wren checks another cube, but stops, saying it's not safe because the air feels too dry. Quentin starts to get suspicious and asks Wren how he knows so much about the traps and detectors. Then Quentin suddenly recognizes him. He tells the others that Wren is the man known as the Bird of Attica, a famous escape artist who broke out of 7 major prisons. Holloway becomes hopeful, saying that if anyone can get them out, it's him. Wren tests another room and, seeing no traps, assumes it's safe. But as soon as he enters, acid sprays from hidden holes and burns his face. Screaming in pain, Wren tries to climb back to the others. They try to help him, but it's too late. His face melts, and he dies right there in front of them. Horrified, the group panics and realizes that even their testing method isn't enough to guarantee safety. After Wren's death, everyone feels hopeless. Holloway says they need to find a smarter way to check the rooms, because some traps might react only to human presence. She then wonders aloud why innocent people like them would be put through something like this. Quentin tries to calm her down, telling her that since she's a doctor, there must be a reason she was chosen. His words only upset her more. as she questions why she was picked and not another doctor. Quentin turns to Levin and asks her what she does. Levin says she's nothing special, just a boring person. Then Quentin looks at Worth and asks what his purpose is. Worth says he's just an ordinary guy who works in an office doing simple tasks. Worth then turns the question back to Quentin, asking what his purpose is. Quentin replies that his purpose is his 3 kids and swears he'll get out of this place no matter what happens. Holloway then tells Worth and Levin that she agrees with Quentin. They should support him and keep moving if they want to survive. Quentin finds Levin's broken glasses and hands them back to her. Levin explains that they're just for reading. Quentin points out something strange. Whoever kidnapped them removed Holloway's jewelry, but left Levin's glasses, which must mean it was done for a reason. Quentin believes that everyone trapped in the cube has a specific purpose. He introduces himself as a police officer who works logically and under pressure. Levin, he says, is a mathematics student. Holloway is a doctor and a conspiracy theorist who believes that the government is behind the cube's creation. Worth, who remains quiet and distant, doesn't share much about his past. Quentin asks Levin to take a closer look at the numbers written near the hatch doors. After studying them, Levin forms a theory. Any room marked with a prime number is trapped. She tests her theory and decides one of the rooms is safe, so the group carefully enters it. As they move forward, Holloway becomes anxious and wants to smoke to calm herself. Quentin tells her to relax and starts a conversation to distract her. He shares that he's divorced and has 3 children, trying to sound confident and reassuring. Meanwhile, Levin checks all the hatches in the room, calculating each set of numbers. Every hatch seems dangerous except the one on the ceiling. Quentin climbs up, opens the ceiling hatch, and finds another person. A mentally challenged man named Kazan. Kazan keeps repeating that the room is green and says he wants to go back to the blue room. The group grows annoyed with him, except for Holloway, who insists on taking care of him. She tells the others that Kazan should come with them. Holloway enters the new room first and suddenly looks like she's choking or suffocating. Levin and Quentin panic and shout for her to come back. Holloway recovers a moment later, saying she's fine. She just swallowed a button. Quentin tests another room that doesn't have prime numbers, assuming it's safe based on Levin's theory. But as soon as he steps inside, razor wires shoot out and cut him, proving Levin's prime number theory wrong. This shocks everyone and increases the tension between them. Quentin grows frustrated with Holloway's paranoid behavior, Kazan's constant mumbling, and Worth's silence. Convinced that Worth knows more than he admits, Quentin accuses him of hiding something about the traps. Holloway defends Worth and tells Quentin to stop doubting him. Worth, tired of the arguments, leads Kazan into another room. He gently tells the others that Kazan doesn't like red rooms and closes his eyes whenever they enter one. The group becomes increasingly irritated with Kazan, except Holloway, who continues to protect him. When Quentin mocks Worth for his quietness, Worth finally loses his patience. He accidentally reveals that he helped design the outer shell of the cube. Everyone is stunned. Quentin and Holloway immediately question him about who hired him, but Worth says he doesn't know. He explains that he only worked through phone calls, never met anyone in person, and was unaware of what the project really was. Holloway becomes emotional, saying this proves she was right all along about the government's involvement. Worth disagrees, telling her that she doesn't understand. There isn't one single mastermind behind this. According to him, the cube was created by multiple people and departments, each doing their part without knowing the full purpose. Levin uses Worth's information to form a new theory. She realizes that the numbers carved near the hatches could represent Cartesian coordinates, a way to locate each room's position within the cube. With this breakthrough, the group begins moving toward what they believe is the cube's outer edge. After crawling through several rooms, they finally reach a point near the edge, but when they test the rooms above them, they find that every single one is trapped. They realize they'll have to go back and find another route. Using the remaining boots, they test more rooms and finally come across a blue-colored room that emits a sound when entered, activating a motion detector. They carefully make their way across it. However, when Quentin goes through, Kazan accidentally makes a small sound, triggering the trap. Blades shoot out of the walls, narrowly missing Quentin. He escapes, shaken but alive. The group then reaches another room on the edge and discovers a gap between it and the cube's outer shell. Using a rope made of torn clothing, Holloway volunteers to swing out and investigate. As she does, the cube vibrates, nearly making her fall. Quentin catches her hand, but after a tense moment, he deliberately lets go, sending her falling to her death. He tells the others she slipped, The group is horrified, but exhausted. As they rest, Quentin tries to convince Levin to stay with him and leave the others behind. Worth and Kazan notice and intervene. Quentin, enraged, attacks Worth and beats him badly, then throws him through the floor hatch. Below them they find Renz's burned body, realizing with horror that they've been moving in circles the whole time. But then Levin and Worth piece together the truth. The cube isn't stationary. The rooms are shifting positions inside a massive structure, which explains the vibrations they've been feeling. Levin reevaluates the numbers again and finally cracks the real code. The traps aren't marked by prime numbers. They're marked by powers of prime numbers. She and Worth are astonished when they realize Kazan has a hidden ability. He's an autistic savant, capable of instantly performing prime factorizations in his head. His gift can guide them safely through the cube. Working together, Levin and Worth determine that there must be a special bridge room that connects to the cube's outer shell. The numbers also show the sequence of room movements, helping them predict which one will align with the bridge. To their surprise, the bridge room turns out to be the same one where all of them, except Kazan and Alderson, first met. But Quentin, now completely unstable, turns violent. Worth fights back and manages to knock him out temporarily, giving himself, Levin, and Kazan a chance to reach the bridge. As they prepare to escape, Worth tells Levin that he doesn't plan to leave. He feels he has nothing to live for outside. Before they can act, Quentin reappears, having followed them. In a frenzy, he stabs both Worth and Levin with a metal door handle. With his last strength, Worth grabs Quentin and drags him away from Kazan. When the cube's rooms shift again, Quentin is caught between them and crushed to death. Kazan, the only survivor, slowly crawls through the hatch leading outside. A blinding white light shines on him as he steps into freedom, leaving the deadly cube behind. Some people were found unconscious, tied up, and taken into a strange, closed, cube-shaped structure that looked like a giant puzzle. A young woman named Rebecca, Becky Young, wakes up inside one of the cube's rooms. She looks confused and scared. It becomes clear that Becky once worked for Izan, and she had been involved in the design and development of this new kind of cube. She calls out to see if anyone else is there, but there's no response. After a moment, she decides to open one of the cube's hatch doors and climbs into the next room. Inside, the entire space seems to be in a state of reversed gravity, and it is implied that Becky dies there. Then the scene shifts to Colonel Thomas H. McGuire, who opens a hatch door and enters another cube room. He starts searching the walls for numbers but doesn't find any. Suddenly, the doors close on their own. He has a suitcase with him, so he opens it, only to find it completely empty. Frustrated, he throws the suitcase at the cube's wall again and again. Annoyed and desperate, Thomas says he only wants a fair chance to live like everyone else. That's why he's searching for the numbers. He then hears a woman screaming somewhere nearby, and fear takes over him. Terrified, he starts praying. Another hatch door opens, and a psychotherapist named Kate Fillmore enters the cube, calling out to see if anyone is there. Inside the room, she sees a man lying unconscious on the floor. Concerned, she moves closer to check if he's hurt or even alive. Suddenly, the man wakes up and attacks her. The man introduces himself as Detective Simon Grady. He asks Kate if she's alone. She says yes. Then he asks if there's anyone in the room she came from, and she tells him no. Kate seems confused by his questions. Simon asks how many rooms she's crossed so far. She replies that she has passed through 5 or 6 rooms. Simon tells her that this is only his 3rd room and that he hasn't seen anyone else either. Just then, the two of them hear strange noises. Simon suspects that someone is about to enter their cube. He tells Kate to pretend for a moment and holds a knife against her neck. When the hatch opens, someone looks in but quickly shuts it after seeing the scene. That same person starts opening and closing several doors rapidly, moving too fast to track. The behavior confuses both Kate and Simon. Determined to find out who it is, Kate ignores Simon's warning and crawls into another room. When she opens the hatch again to return, she's shocked to see that Simon is no longer there, and the window she opened doesn't lead back to the same room she left. Kate continues moving through the cube and opens another hatch. In this new room, she finds a blind teenage girl sitting on the floor, trembling. The girl introduces herself as Alexandra Sasha Trusk, a professional computer hacker. Sasha tells Kate not to hurt her. Kate gently introduces herself and assures Sasha that she's alone and won't cause harm. She tells the frightened girl to calm down, promising that everything will be all right. Sasha nervously explains that she's blind. While they talk, a hatch on the floor suddenly opens, and a man climbs in. His name is Jerry Whitehall. Relieved, he tells Kate and Sasha that he's glad to finally see someone else because he thought he was the only person trapped in this place. He explains that he's been wandering through these rooms for hours, hoping to find others. Kate introduces herself and Sasha remains quiet and nervous, fearing Jerry might hurt her. Kate quickly explains that Sasha is blind and scared. Kate then asks Jerry if he knows anything about this place. Jerry says he doesn't know what it is or why they are trapped inside. He marks the room as the fourth one he's been in and shows Kate his marking. Kate asks if that means this is his fourth room, and he nods. Jerry explains that each of these cube rooms has 6 doors or portals, but no matter how many doors he passes through, he always ends up circling back into the same 3 rooms. Kate wonders if the rooms themselves might be moving around, shifting positions like parts of a machine. Jerry says he thought the same thing but insists that they can't feel any movement, so he's not sure. Suddenly, the 3 of them sense something approaching. The air becomes tense. Sasha begins to panic, insisting that something is coming for them. She says it doesn't like them and wants them dead. Kate tries to calm her, saying she doesn't hear anyone, and it's probably just the sound of the cube's motors. The group decides to escape into another room. As they open the next hatch, they find Thomas Maguire hanging from the ceiling, and another man, Max Riesler, desperately trying to save him. Jerry rushes to help, and Kate and Sasha follow. Detective Simon Grady appears from another hatch and joins them. Kate tells Simon to help her get Thomas down. Simon releases the belt and together they manage to rescue him, barely saving his life. Thomas Maguire is in despair. He explains that he had designed the original cube system, but was not assigned to be inside this one. He wanted a fair chance to survive like the others, but now that he's trapped in a completely new and unfamiliar version, he believes his chances of survival are minimal. That's why he tried to hang himself. None of the people inside the cube remember how they got there. They only know that the cube rooms are no longer linearly connected. Once a door closes, the next time it opens, it can lead to an entirely different place. Kate shares her theory with the others, that the rooms are constantly shifting around, rearranging like pieces of a puzzle. The group helps Colonel Maguire recover. Simon checks his ID card and finds that Maguire worked for the Department of Defense. Simon tells everyone that the colonel is from the military. Then Max Riesler adds that Maguire is actually a Pentagon high-tech liaison. Simon becomes suspicious and asks Max how he knows all this. Max admits that he's a hacker and a game developer. He explains that one of his friends once did 10 to 20 months in upstate prison for hacking into the Pentagon's mainframe 2 years ago, and Max helped him write that code. Max says that might be the reason he's here. Suddenly, they all hear a sound, and an older woman enters the room. Her name is Mrs. Paley. She looks confused and tells the others that she got lost again in this gym, and she doesn't know why her daughter-in-law keeps insisting she come here. Jerry asks if anyone knows why they're trapped in this place, but nobody has an answer. Sasha, who has a very sharp sense of hearing, suddenly warns the group that danger is coming closer. She can hear it. Simon demands that Thomas tell them what he knows about this cube, but Kate tells Simon to go easy because Thomas is hurt. Before they can continue, the whole room suddenly shifts position, and everyone loses balance as the cube moves. Simon again asks Thomas if there's a way to get out. Thomas H. Maguire says that they have to solve the code to escape this mysterious place. He explains that the first cube had clear rules, but he isn't familiar with the rules of this new one. Max grows frustrated and tries to leave, but as he moves, the room shifts again, throwing him off balance. Suddenly, one of the walls starts to close in on them. The group panics, realizing they must figure out a way to escape before they're crushed. Everyone scrambles to get out while Thomas stays behind. He handcuffs himself to the wall. Simon and Kate try to free him, but Thomas swallows the key. Kate has no choice but to leave. The group watches in horror as Thomas is disintegrated by the moving wall, which turns out to be non-physical but deadly. His suitcase is destroyed as well. Jerry keeps marking every room they enter to track their path. Later, while they're resting, Mrs. Paley once again forgets Kate's name and reintroduces herself, making the others doubt her memory. Then Jerry surprises everyone by admitting that he designed the door panels of the cube, the ones that use touch sensors. He says he got the contract through freelancing. Simon gets angry at him for not mentioning it earlier, but Jerry explains that he had signed a confidentiality agreement. Simon pushes him for answers about what this place is. Jerry insists he doesn't really know. but finally admits that he once heard rumors that this whole thing might be part of a quantum teleportation experiment. As they keep exploring, they discover that gravity behaves differently in each room, sometimes up is down or sideways. Mrs. Paley and Jerry begin to suspect that they might be inside a tesseract. Simon asks why she thinks that, and Mrs. Paley replies strangely saying, "It's the second act beginning. We should be back in our seats." Jerry explains that a tesseract, also known as a hypercube, is a four-dimensional cube where rooms repeat and overlap endlessly. Kate starts noticing the number 60,659 appearing again and again in different rooms. Later, Max opens another door and sees a young woman inside. When he tries to enter, gravity shifts and he almost falls, but he manages to hold on to the door and pull himself in. He reaches the girl and asks if she's all right. Kate follows behind him. The girl, Julia, wakes up and asks where she is. Soon Simon, Mrs. Paley, and the others join them in that room. Julia takes off a jacket she's wearing and asks Max if it's his. Max says no. Kate then asks if anyone remembers the last thing they did before ending up here. Jerry says that he went to bed at home. He's a married engineer. Simon lies, saying he's a management consultant. Max tells the group that he lives in Palo Alto and designs computer games. Eventually, the group realizes that they all have some kind of connection to Izon, a weapons manufacturer. Mrs. Paley then opens one of the panels, and the group sees a shocking image, a version of her and Simon being killed. Jerry thinks it's a parallel universe, while Max and Julia believe it's an optical illusion. That night, while the others sleep, Simon stays awake. He suddenly remembers why he's here. He was hired by Becky's parents to find her. Becky was the woman who first woke up and died early in the cube. Meanwhile, Sasha hears a faint mechanical noise and wakes everyone up. They see a floating square in the middle of the room. It grows larger, splitting into many shifting shapes of a tesseract before turning into a spinning, deadly frame. The group runs, but Jerry gets caught and is pulled into it, dying instantly. Kate tries to save Sasha but can't reach her in time, and the two get separated from the others. Simon becomes suspicious of Mrs. Paley and accuses her of being a spy. He gags and ties her up, but suddenly sharp crystal beams start shooting from the walls. Simon tries to rescue her, but in his panic, he stabs Mrs. Paley instead and leaves her to die. Max and Julia, horrified by Simon's behavior, decide to get away from him. Later, Max and Julia begin spending time together and try to comfort each other. But they don't realize that they are in a room where time moves faster, and soon they age rapidly, dying within minutes. Simon, now completely alone, loses his mind. Hungry and furious, he wanders the cube and encounters alternate versions of Jerry and Becky. In his madness, he kills them both. Meanwhile, Kate explores other rooms and witnesses different realities, each more terrifying than the last. Sasha tells Kate that time and space are collapsing inside the cube. She explains that the tesseract is unstable and will soon implode. Then she reveals the truth. Her real name is Alex Trusk, and she is the hacker who created the tesseract. Alex says that when she found out Izon was putting real people into the experiment, she tried to stop them but was hunted down. The only place she could hide was inside the cube itself. Kate still believes there's a way out. She soon finds Simon again, but he attacks her. Kate fights back and stabs him in the eye. Moments later, Simon appears again behind Alex, older now, blind in one eye. Proving that Alex's theory about time distortion is true, Alex says that they are all already dead. Enraged, Simon snaps her neck. Kate realizes the cube is shrinking rapidly. She fights Simon one last time and kills him with a knife. She notices the many watches that belong to Jerry and finally understands what 60659 means. It's not a code, but a time. 60659. The exact moment when the tesseract will implode. She also realizes she was sent here to retrieve Alex's necklace, which contains confidential data about Izon. As the cube begins to collapse, Kate opens a hatch on the floor and sees a dark void below. At exactly 6:06:59, she jumps in just as the hypercube implodes behind her. Kate wakes up in a factory, surrounded by armed operatives. She gives them the necklace, completing her mission. But immediately after, one of the agents shoots her in the head. As her body falls, another official calmly reports, Phase 2 is terminated. The operatives then quietly leave the facility. And to not leave your entertainment behind you, I recommend you check out my other full recaps on the right next, and subscribe for future uploads. Check out the other interesting stories on the right next and grab your popcorn. Enjoy yourself, and see you soon.